October 1st, 2019 marks the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. In Beijing's Tiananmen Square, more than 200,000 people celebrate the occasion with a grand military parade and mass pageantry. President Xi Jinping, who is also General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, delivers an important speech.
今天，社会主义中国巍然屹立在世界东方，没有任何力量能够撼动我们伟大祖国的地位。 没有任何力量能够阻挡中国人民和中华民族的前进步伐。我们祝福你的生日，我的中国，愿你逆风起飞。
The grand, graceful, orderly and harmonious celebration is a proud manifestation of the Chinese people's progress on the long march to the Chinese dream. It showcases China's remarkable achievements in the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation under the leadership of the CPC. Since the founding of the CPC in 1921, China, once a poor and weak country, has become prosperous and strong, an historic achievement made by both the nation and its ruling CPC. With rapid GDP growth, optimized industrial structure, and significantly increased national strength, China has worked an economic miracle. In just a few decades, China has developed to a level that took developed countries hundreds of years to reach, and built the world's most complete modern industrial system. It is in fact the only country to have every kind of industry included in the United Nations Industry Classification System. In 2019, China's GDP ranks second globally, close to the combined GDPs of Japan, Germany, the United Kingdom and France. China has become the world's largest manufacturer, the largest trading nation in goods, and the largest holder of foreign exchange reserves. Its average rate of contribution to global economic growth has been around 30% for many years, the largest by far. National projects such as high-speed rail and bridge construction, the Jiaolong Deep Sea Explorer and Shenzhou Space Station program, the Tianyang Radio Telescope, the C919 passenger plane and domestically built aircraft carriers are representative of China's rapid and sound economic development.
"人民对美好生活的向往，就是我们的奋斗目标。"
The CPC always takes the fundamental interests of the people as its ultimate standard, addresses their concerns, and strives to meet their desire for a happy life. At the end of 2019, the number of social security card holders in China is 1.305 billion, covering all prefectures and cities and 93.2% of the population. The level of education in China has soared above the global average, and higher education has entered a stage of popularization. China's network of high-speed railways is the largest in the world. So are its power generation capacity and information network. China is becoming known worldwide as a safe and prosperous country. When challenges appear, a great nation will rise to overcome them. It has been said that achieving national rejuvenation is like a relay race in which every generation must strive for a good score for the sake of future ones. Moreover, the middle part is often more painstaking.
中华民族伟大复兴绝不是轻轻松松敲锣打鼓就能实现的。实现伟大梦想，必须进行伟大斗争。在前进道路上，我们面临的风险考验只会越来越复杂，甚至遇到难以想象的惊涛骇浪。
The Chinese nation has experienced many ordeals in its history, but it has never been overwhelmed. Instead, it has become even more tenacious, rising up stronger in adversity. The world is undergoing the greatest changes in a century. The situation has become very volatile. The US in particular has adopted a strong-arm attitude towards trade with other countries and unilaterally provoked a trade war with China, containing and suppressing China in all aspects. In the face of adversity, China has to bravely confront the challenges. To minimize the impact of the trade frictions, the CPC Central Committee and the State Council has continued to cut taxes and fees on a large scale and further improve trade facilitation. They have tried to accelerate the construction of pilot free trade zones, supported enterprise in developing diversified markets, helped to boost the stock market and connect the businesses between Shanghai and London exchanges. They have promulgated a foreign investment law and staged successive China International Import Expos. The CPC Central Committee, with Xi Jinping at its core, has been steadfast in deepening reform and furthering opening up. The 2019 American Business in China White Paper shows 98% of the American companies interviewed will continue to develop the Chinese market, and China remains the world's most attractive investment destination to them. In June 2019, turbulence over an amendment bill strikes Hong Kong. Some demonstrators occupied streets. Hong Kong independence advocates and radical separatist forces grossly trample on the rule of law. The practice of one country, two systems in the SAR is challenged. The CPC Central Committee firmly supports the Hong Kong government in cracking down on and punishing violent crimes. It promulgated and implemented the Hong Kong National Security Law and improved the SAR's electoral system to ensure the steady implementation of one country, two systems. In the process of the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, China proves confident of meeting challenges head-on and turning risks into opportunities. In early 2020, a coronavirus epidemic breaks out in Wuhan and later evolves into the COVID-19 pandemic. It is the fastest spreading, most extensive, and most challenging public health emergency since the end of the Second World War. The pandemic is both a crisis and a major test. For the sake of all mankind, the CPC Central Committee makes prompt decisions and takes extraordinary measures in an all-out struggle against the virus. It's a war of resistance, a war of coordination, and a war of the people. To block the spread of the virus as quickly as possible, the CPC Central Committee orders the closure of all channels of exit from Wuhan and Hubei, in spite of the effect it knows this will have on the economy. The unprecedented measure is a clear warning from China delivered to other countries. Xi Jinping stresses that the people's safety and health must be given top priority. From the elderly to newborns, every life matters. A people-centered leadership has never spoken louder than this in a nationwide emergency. And without the people, there is no victory. Doctors and nurses are the soldiers on the front line. 42,600 medical workers from all over China are rushed to the epicenter.
你们是这个春天最美的逆行者，也是人民心中的大英雄。我们相信，没有一个冬天不能。
This special announcement is made by Captain Yuan Dong on the Fuzhou to Wuhan flight on January the 27th, 2020. His plane is carrying the first medical team of 135 medical workers from Fujian province, along with 4,500 kilos of medical supplies.
医疗队员在登机前呢，我透过舷窗看到他们每一个人都是信心满满。
我自愿加入中国共产党。
我自愿加入中国共产党。
Zhong Nanshan, Zhang Bo-li, Zhang Dingyu, Chun Wei, and many other Chinese communists make up the leading heroic formation in this battle against COVID-19. At the very beginning of the battle, Zhang Dingyu, president of the Wuhan Jinyintan Hospital, reminds his colleagues of their duty.
我们站在了一个风暴之眼，我们要保卫我们的武汉，保卫武汉人民。
Heroes are indeed ordinary people making extraordinary deeds. Zhang Dingyu had the chronic neurodegenerative condition Lou Gehrig's disease, and his wife was diagnosed with COVID-19. Despite his illness, Zhang Dingyu worked around the clock to save lives against the time. Among the more than 240 communists he leads, none was daunted by the task. Wuhan quickly followed its lockdown orders with the building of temporary treatment facilities. the construction of Huoshunshan and Leishunshan, two makeshift specialized hospitals with about 2,500 beds, were ordered to be completed in 2 weeks. Using hundreds of excavators and bulldozers, 40,000 workers worked day and night to meet the tight deadline. Thanks to the contribution of over 4.6 million primary-level CPC organizations and thousands of volunteers, a decisive victory was secured in the battle to defend Wuhan City and Hubei Province. And thanks to the united efforts of 1.4 billion Chinese people, the nationwide battle against COVID-19 has been remarkable. After a fierce and intense battle, the city of Wuhan has recovered. It's an extraordinary feat in Chinese history. Among major economies, China is the first to recover from the impact of COVID-19. With a GDP of over 100 trillion yuan, its economy shows great resilience and vitality. China's per capita GDP remains above $10,000 in both 2019 and 2020. In 2020, a total of 11.86 million urban jobs are added, and grain output rises to a record level of over 609 million tons. With increasing imports and exports, as well as global market shares, China consolidates its position as the largest trading country. China's foreign direct investment actually bucks the year's global trend with growth, making the country the largest recipient of FDI in 2020. In 2020, in addition to its major achievements in the battle against COVID-19, China, a developing country with a population of 1.4 billion, also reaches its ambitious goal of building a moderately prosperous society in all respects. By eradicating extreme poverty, it also makes a major contribution to world poverty alleviation. Sing a folk song to the party again is a song that voices the common gratitude felt by every one of China's 56 ethnic groups to the Communist Party.
I think the Chinese Communist Party is a phenomenon. It is a new type of party. It's not like parties on the whole in other parts of the world. It's clearly the backbone of the country, and it is essentially the kind of leader and mentor of the people.
Since the establishment of the People's Republic of China, of course under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, can go from having 90% poverty to 0% poverty in 40 years. Then I think the world should recognize and acknowledge this, because what it does is that it creates hope for the rest of humanity too.
The Chinese Communist Party has done wonders, providing leadership for taking people out of poverty. These were the foundations through which poverty alleviation was done, and these were the foundations through which Chinese economy has prospered tremendously.
This year is 100 years after the formation of CPC, and we must congratulate the people of China.
The CPC's leadership is not self-proclaimed, nor is a mandate from heaven. It's the choice of history and of the people. Without centralized management and strong leadership, it's impossible for a party of 95 million members to lead 1.4 billion Chinese people in a united effort to promote socialism with Chinese characteristics. Since the birth of the CPC, Chinese communists with Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin, and Hu Jintao as their chief representatives have led the Chinese people in surmounting unimaginable difficulties and challenges, enabling the nation to embrace the bright prospect of its great renewal. Since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, the CPC Central Committee with Xi Jinping at its core has demonstrated tremendous political courage and a strong sense of mission. It directs great social changes with daring self-reform, while scaling historic achievements in the undertakings of the CPC and the country, and advancing socialism with Chinese characteristics into the new era. The country is the people, and the people are the country. The CPC has and will always rely on the people and serve the people, and make sure they have a stronger and more lasting sense of fulfillment, happiness and security.
深深地感觉到党的伟大、光荣，我们祖国的强大。
发展经济，创造美好生活。感恩共产党！祝愿中国共产党永远年轻！
感谢共产党！
没有共产党，
就没有新中国。3、2、
1，点火！
On June 17, 2021, the Shenzhou 12 spacecraft soars into the heavens, carrying with it the hopes of the whole nation. It's the 7th manned space launch for China. Before returning to Earth, the crew will spend 3 months aboard the Tiangong space station.
"伟大的中国共产党 生日快乐！敬礼！
没有共产党，就没有新中国；没有共产党，就没有新中国。
July 1st, 2021 was a very significant day in the history of the CPC and the Chinese nation. To mark the 100th anniversary of the founding of the CPC, a grand and solemn convention was held in Beijing's Tiananmen Square.
中国共产党立志于中华民族千秋伟业，百年恰是风华正茂。回首过去，展望未来。 有中国共产党的坚强领导，有全国各族人民的紧密团结，全面建成社会主义现代化强国的目标，一定能够实现。中华民族伟大复兴的中国梦， 一定能够实现。伟大、光荣、正确的中国共产党万岁！伟大、光荣、英雄的中国人民万岁！
Drawing lessons from history and creating the future, the CPC has withstood the many challenges of its arduous journey into the present. Today, from this historic point, it embarks afresh on its journey to fully build a modern socialist China. Remaining true to its original aspiration and with unwavering focus on its mission, it will continue to strive for a splendid tomorrow, for the long-cherished great cause of the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation.
从长夜到日出，走过千山万水的路，每一步都是信仰足迹，烙印下新中国版图，从贫弱到富强，走出复兴，为业征途，每一天都有奋斗牺牲，只为人民拥抱幸福，凭着心中坚定信念，敢叫日月换新天，军官满道，风雨无阻，会举起中华儿女同向前。从贫弱到富强，走出复兴，为业征途。